Feed me. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more. The Ryback Show starts now.
Welcome to the Ryback Show Live. I am the big guy Ryback. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We are streaming live on Instagram and TikTok. The big guy Ryback22. Appreciate all the love and support. This is a live stream. I'm going to actually fix this camera a little bit there on TikTok. With that, you guys can swing on over here to Ryback TV on YouTube. Please subscribe, turn on those notifications, where you are the co-host of the show. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions go. Ladies and gentlemen, health, fitness, supplementation, mindset, sports, politics, pro wrestling, and anything and everything in between on there. So come on over. Super chats are greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that listens to this show on all podcast platforms or listening to the non-live version, available at any time, wherever podcasts are heard, and iTunes reviews are greatly appreciated. Streaming live also, Twitch, Ryback Rules, and at Facebook, at Ryback Reeves. Got my coffee here. Guys, took the dogs for a nice long walk at the new park that's just down the road from me. A beautiful part of Vegas up by the mountains up here. Fresh, clean air, and it will probably be ruined shortly by more and more people as they realize this beautiful new park is opened. But they're building homes everywhere. It's going to be crazy to see what this area is going to be like in the next 5 to 10 years. It's already crazy from the last 5 to 10, but anyways, guys, this show is brought to you by my Feed Me More Nutrition premium supplement line. Premium supplements sweetened with stevia and monk fruit. No harmful artificial sweeteners or colors like those other guys. Vegan friendly for all people. He, she, men and women. He, she, and thee on feedmemore.com. You can save 30% for all new customers. If you've never tried the supplements, we have 13 different things for you to try. Use discount code Ryback30, Ryback30 to get 30% off your first order. And also a free bottle with a free gift from yours truly of our 1-2-3 Muscle Joint Tendon Support formula, guys. A $44.99 value, yours free. For all returning customers, 20% off. Discount code FEEDME20, FEEDME20 at checkout to get 20% off and the free gift of the 1-2-3 bottle. Ryback, why are you giving the new customers 30% off? Why aren't you giving all of us 30% off? Well, sign up for my weekly email and text message, and you can be getting the biggest savings of them all, my little pal, because we need to entice new people, new customers to come in. Hey, here's a nice friendly discount. Hey, and people, here's the candy. And then they come in. And that's, the old, that's again, I've used that reference before, but that's the best thing that I know of, an analogy of like, or it's like a drug dealer, but these are not drugs. These are natural supplements. A drug dealer giving you a free, hey man, here's a free hookup. Here's a free supply. And then you get hooked because it's so good. And then you become a lifelong customer. So all righty here. Let's get into the show. What do we got going on today, guys? What do we got going on? I love your questions. Somebody's starting off hot. The air isn't good in Ohio. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on, and it's an unfortunate situation. And things happen, but there are a lot of things happening. It is, but there are. I think we have to be very we just live in this day and age where I see it because Twitter has been feeding a lot of BS. Since Elon took over Twitter, I get more BS political stuff from not political, from just people that it's showing up on my feed. And I'm not a fan really of a lot of it. And I end up blocking it. But where they kind of try to stir up controversy, and it's like people on either side, whether they're Republican, Democrat, far left, far right, whatever, this extreme people that just push things, and so it's very hard to know what's true, what's not true. But a lot of times I see people, they take something and they take it out of context and they push it out, and then people are reacting to it out of the context, out of the thing that is taken out of context. And so it's just really, it's almost just you just gotta just step away from it. And but there is that the spill, the fire, the train, was it the derailment deal? I don't know. It's horrible. None of this stuff, chemicals, and just not a good situation. I think if unfortunately, if I was in that situation and able to leave for a bit, I probably would pack up and go, you know, family members somewhere, relatives somewhere else in the country. Again, that's a hard thing to go do if you work, and how many people can actually go do that anyways, can afford to go do that, right? Especially in the current times. Not a lot, probably. So it's I don't know. I tell you, and I told you guys, I've never voted. I'm not a political person, and because I think the whole thing is just so screwed up, and I've never felt good about it, and then my whole deal was all along and always has been, you know what, just sweep my own porch, take care of myself, work as hard as I can, be as good of a person as I can. But up until just the last few years, government really never really impacted my life too greatly. Hey, taxes are here a little more, this, but nothing was really, this is the first time in my life where I've really truly been impacted by our government, and I'm not a fan of the current administration. Not to say that I would be a fan of another one, but like, I've always rooted for whoever was in charge, because their success is our success. But these people, like, something is just completely, and it's been off for a long time, but you're impacting our country in ways that it's not going to be reversible for many. And it's frustrating, and I just don't like, you see that stuff happening, and I wish everyone the best over there. And it's our world and our system and our economy, everything is so fragile. And this is what I tried telling you guys too, and like everything with the whole C word back in 2020, and then the talks of the shutdowns and everything. If you watch this show and listen, I said we cannot go that route. That will have very, very bad negative repercussions for a long time. And what has happened? That sure as hell has been the case. And so many people, I was like, I tell you guys, I speak my own truth and from the heart on things, and I think you'll be hard pressed to find things that I'm really, really wrong on things over the years, on whether it's pro wrestling or life on things. And it's not to say that I can't be, or it can't be something that was slightly this and that, but it's not good. Not good. It's like the whole C stuff too, and like the natural immunity. And just say, no, it's just common sense. These people that you guys are listening to now always bragged about natural immunity, but people then wanted to no, no, and then everything sure enough came true. And then it's still like, oh, we don't want to talk about it. That was years ago. But we live in crazy times, man. But you just got to try to keep our head on straight, and focus on all the good that exists out there, and stay away from the nutcases and all the BS as much as possible. Joseph, thank you, buddy, saying your energy and motivation and your motivation mindset coupled with your supplements have been game-changing for me. Thanks for your awesome energy, big guy. You're very welcome, buddy. Very kind words of you, and I greatly appreciate that. Manu, this is live. This is the Ryback Show live. See that red button in that top left corner that says live? We are live in living color, my man. Live everywhere. I'm streaming live all around the world right now. People in India, Pakistan, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, London, Canada, here in the United States, Mexico, mi amigos in Mexico. We're all tuning into the Ryback Show live, which, by the way, it was brought to my attention right before I went live. The show, I haven't looked at the rankings for the audio version in so long. They don't even update my show. They have it still as Conversation as the Big Guy. I used to get the emails on it. I blocked it. This show used to be a top, like on the audio version, the first probably first few years, we're a top rated show for whatever segment we were in. We were always in that group. And I get more listens now though on across all the platforms. Like TikTok, 30 to 100,000 people will tune in to the Ryback show, any given show. And then you factor in all the audio, the Instagram, the YouTube, the Twitch, the Facebook, and um, what other, I don't know what else there is, but it does great numbers. But those, I guess we've now broken back into the top 100 for the audio, for the podcast, just the audio with that, which would be great. And it's like I've said, if the shadow ban stuff doesn't exist, this is already a top show with all the total listens per episode, everything combined. But if you're just going for the audio segment there, it would be nice to get back in that. So keep going and keep recording. But again, you gotta hope that YouTube would distribute the notifications to the listeners, and it's unfortunately, and to people that have subscribed, it's not the case. And I'm dealing with that. I've got an open case still, which they're trying not to. They don't want to answer any questions, and it's beyond frustrating. But I just got to keep doing the work. There's going to come a point in time, like I said, Twitter gets fixed. That's going to give me a lot of power if Twitter gets fixed first here, and to start raising more and more awareness. And hey, if I got to show up on some news shows and keep pleading my case, because I already know what's going on, and now it's just a matter of putting some heat on the right people. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Elon's going to get that algorithm fixed, and we'll be off to the races, and one platform at a time. Thank you very much, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Good to see you here. Yeah, we definitely, I highly recommend anybody, even you, go sign up for my email and text message program on feedme20.com. It's just one message a week. My thought of the week on the email. Sometimes if it's not long enough, I can get it on a text. I'll keep it there, or a condensed version. And they go out every Wednesday, Thursday, email, text, and with a massive discount that not available anywhere else. And I always try to come up with different ideas and deals and on that, and to reward our most loyal customers. Ryback, do you believe there are aliens? Oh my, yes. There's so much. We're on this planet just floating around, and like there's so much more out there than like when I was young growing up, and we had in school and looking at the solar system, and now what they know compared to what they, at least what they were telling us they knew then, is that yeah, there's a lot out there in that our minds can't even fully fathom and just wrap our brains around. Like, it is, to think that we're just all alone here on planet Earth, and there's nothing else, and there's all these other planets and things that could host life out there. I this is why I'm of the mindset, guys. And there's some brilliant people on this planet and here, and it's like, and I love learning and applying, but I just think, like, too, man, I want to enjoy life as much as possible. I'm not gonna beat myself up trying to figure everything out, and like there's just stuff that we're not going to know. And I was like, why? But that's just like humans, like, we want to try to figure everything out, but there's things beyond our powers that we are not going to figure out. And it's like, I would rather just enjoy life and be happy and do the things that I love and enjoy the most. And I always say, when we die and we pass on, hopefully we get all the answers. And it's like, and then that's what I picture my jacked soul up there, and it's like sitting and getting all the answers, and it just, everything is getting caught up. And it's after you say hi to your past family members and dogs, and my jacked up soul sitting there talking to itself, and God is showing me the explanation of life. And it's like going to be the first thing. Did you take time to be happy and enjoy life, or did you waste your life trying to figure out everything that wasn't going to be able to be figured out? And I hope to God I could say I was happy and I did my best, and of just enjoying everything. And but some people, hey, if your thing is just because some people just overthink and want to, like, it's not worth it. But there definitely is life out there. There has to be. There's just there's there's just I don't know. I've seen some pretty crazy things in the sky here in Vegas. Years ago, I didn't have my phone on me. I was out back with the dogs, and but there's Area 51, not horribly far from where I'm at, and I'm up north, so I'm closer to that than in the heart of Vegas. I mean, it's only hours away. And then the nuclear test sites, and like there's a lot of crazy things, the Nellis Air Force Base and all that jazz. But so I go, you never know what they could be testing. But I saw a pretty crazy thing that was not like unlike anything I'd ever seen many years. And I didn't want to even leave to try to go run and get my phone and lose it. I was just like in like awe of it. It was something else. But there's how many people like see things and it's like, yeah, right. And who knows? So who knows? I don't beat myself up like trying to figure it out. It'd be great if they abducted me though and gave me some even some really cool mega superhuman powers. Come back in wrestling and just use pick people up without touching them and have all these extraterrestrial energies. What a gimmick that would be. Undefeated. Sorry, my character can't lose. I have extraterrestrial powers in real life. I am doing great. Thank you very much. All right, the super chats are starting off hot. Sweet Sugar coming in with a 10 spot. 3 facts about Triple S. This is Sweet Sugar for those of you not familiar, a Ryback show regular. 3 facts about Triple S. The very first episode of Raw I've ever seen was in 2006 when DX took over the WWE production truck. Number 2, I've been to every state on the East Coast. 3, I'm number 9 out of 10 kids. Wow. There we go. 3 facts about Sweet Sugar. I am you're number 9 out of 10 kids. I come from my parents. I only got one sister, but my mom comes from a family of, was it my mom's side, is it 11? And my dad is 8 or 9 kids. So both my parents come from very large families. And then how funny, they have kids and both their kids have no kids. Because we're smart. My real estate agent that I deal with, she has 3 kids in the last few years. 2 of them are hers and one from another marriage. And I could just, she's working overtime. And I was just talking to her the other day. She's like, I can't wait for daycare. And I look at people that, all the power to you with it. It's, I'm so happy in life, and I've got my hands so full anyways as it is. And you could always adjust. And I have friends that have had kids and they adjust and all that, but it's, I can't imagine 9, 10, 11 kids. Everyone's different. That's what the beautiful part of life is. Everyone is intrigued and has a different purpose and things that they feel. But can you imagine trying to raise 10 kids? I'd be wrestling I would have to wrestle until I died. I would have to do everything I'm doing and just keep wrestling in 90 years old with my extraterrestrial power still going strong. Jay Tony, did you ask? Were you the same one that asked that the other day? And it goes, how do you cope? I think you meant cope with the loss of a recently deceased relative. I'm asking because a cousin of mine passed away in September of 2015. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. And the other episode of the Ryback show was the last show. I think I talked about that in pretty great depth. And I just choose to focus that. And for my views of death, and that I choose to look at the positives of we get to be reunited with all those that we've lost in our families and pets prior. And I think it kind of gives you, it just kind of gives it a more positive something to look forward to, and not to try to be scared of it as much as possible. But obviously when someone else passes away, I think we have to look at that they get to be reunited with everybody else in their lives that they have lost up to prior to them passing away, and to try to not look at it from a selfish standpoint, that there's no pain and suffering, that they're at peace, and now it's just us, and we have to then realize that they are no longer here physically, but we are given an endless amount of love to give. And I've always done this with my pets, and when the pet passes away, and giving a love to a new pet, and it's that to try to stay in a state of love and happiness as much as possible, but and not to be selfish, and that we miss and that we feel alone, but we're actually not. There's a whole world out there of things that want to be and need to be loved. So it's up to us to get in the right mindset and try to find those things, and to honor that memory of them, and to move forward. That's all we could do. And there's no point in being stuck, and staying stuck, and but acknowledge them and miss them, and do the things, and have pictures of them, and do things that make you feel good when you see that, and know that they're at peace and they're with their other loved ones. And I think it just shifts your minds into a better place. That's just my opinion on it. And there's no right or wrong. Hello, hello. Everything is great in Vegas. Thank you. I have no idea what happens after death. I really don't. I don't think anyone really does. How crazy it'd be when we die and we find out it's like a video game sound goes off in our head, like the Super Mario Brothers when you die, and we're just like, shit, this is just aliens playing a video game. So many more things would make sense then. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to look at it, have it be a surprise. Be great. Like you're on the deathbed and like on the verge of like going, and like you're getting like you can see the aliens actually playing the game. They're trying to revive you. And it's just that you see it's your afterlife experience. You realize it's all just a game. I hope the aliens that are playing as me are pretty damn good. We've got another super chat here. This is a bright orange color here. Winter Kirsch, thank you very much. $23.99. Is that euros? What is that? What is that in American dollars? It's better than Canadian, right? Do you prefer Ryback or Big Guy? Rye Guy or Big Back? Greetings from Austria, the holy land of taxes. P.S. Is Kane really as tall as the WWE measures him? Thank you very much. I go Ryan. People call me Ryback. Some people say Big Guy. I'm not. I don't discriminate. Nobody calls me really Rye Guy or Big Back. Some people call me Back. Hey, Back. What up, Back? But usually it's Ryan or Ryback for the most part. So with that. Kane, I don't know what they bill him at, but he's definitely tall. I know he's not 7 feet tall, but I mean, but he could have been with his back when he was. If they ever did list him as 7 feet with the Undertaker, he had good lifts. I know he had bigger lifts if I'm not mistaken at one point, and then I think after a while, but I don't know if he's. I'm not. I mean, he's tall. And I don't know if he's like 6'9", 6'10". 6'8", like, but he's tall regardless. I would have to look and see like him next to like Wade Barrett, because Wade was like 6'6", 6'7". Wade's a tall guy, and I think Kane is a little taller than him if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much. Iron Paradise says, hey, big guy, from watching your show, I know you had to deal with a lot of toxic people in WWE. How did you deal with that toxic environment in the workplace? So there's a lot of positivity in things in different areas. There's politics in every workplace and whatnot. I just simply, I wrote alone. I stayed to myself. And after my ankle injury and things and realizing the environment that I was in, and I always loved him, always walked around with a smile and loved, and I'm happy, easy going. I look at the positives and things, and it is definitely, it was a shell shock in just seeing and like it very, it could be very negative and people doing things and saying things that aren't true. And you're just like, what? And then but people, some people believe that stuff. And, uh, like I've said, I've talked about the groups of wrestlers that will go sit in the bleachers, and I don't know if they still do it, and just would talk shit about everybody. And you hear all this stuff with like the women and the little stuff, the petty stuff, and I've seen it. I've seen a diva, and I'm not going to name her name, who was just sitting there. I've mentioned it before on an airplane, just bashing one of the other divas, and then the other diva came and had her seat was right next to us. And she instantly, oh, so good to see you. You look so beautiful. Like I literally like this is, and I later on when she was gone, I go, don't ever talk to her to me again about her. And she understood very well. And I didn't say anything mean, but I just let her know that I don't want any part of her fake bullshit reality, that bubble that she was living in with that. And but that's the stuff that's it's not just in wrestling, that's everywhere with it. And um but I wrote alone. I did things that made me happy and kept me listening to my audiobooks and my books on business and my investing and how I was going to start my business, and focused on my stuff I was doing, my wrestling matches, my gym time, and keeping my body as healthy as I could when it was hurting. And eat the restaurants I wanted to eat at, and just I hung out with the guys that made me laugh, at TV, and I got along with everybody. But me and Ziggler, anyone else around it, but like Ziggler was always around, Wade was always around. We were always kind of like, it doesn't matter, Bray and Bo Dallas, like they're around, we're laughing, we're just having a good time. And then you're getting your match, and then you go on, you're on your way. I would just stay away from, if there were a group of people that were up to, like, just kind of bashing things and being negative, and I happened to be sitting there, because there'd be times where I would be sitting over by one of the guys and meeting a couple guys talking, and then other people start coming over, and then the conversation kind of starts shifting to somebody will be like, oh, look at that guy in the ring, this is stuff that happens, and like somebody's just in the ring, just maybe working on something, and then you start talking shit about it, and you're just like, that was the culture and the environment there. And I've seen it where like people shit on people that try to get better at different times too. And that's not saying that that's what it is now, but I've clearly seen that in that environment. And agents would kind of make fun of people, and you're like, you're fucking supposed to be here to be helping people. It's like, and you're gonna like it's a wild atmosphere. And I would just get up and leave if ever that was ever the case with it and stuff. And then too, there'd be times too, then I got out of this really quickly, but you'd be by the ring. Once I was on TV, I was done. Like I wasn't going to go like get in the ring with a local guy and have a match with him so producers can look to see if he was worth hiring. If anyone, not happening, not in a million years. The only time I ever did that was for Arn Anderson for Big E, because I'd worked with Big E and I knew him in developmental, and I was new and I was on TV, but I was new. I think I was still doing locals, but I have a lot of respect for Arn, and that was the only time. And they wanted to kind of see Big E up with another big guy, and in like a quick little 5-6 minute match. And I'd wrestled him in developmental and been in the ring with him, and I had no problems. But like after a while, it was like no one's asking for anything on that, and I don't care. You guys go get somebody else to go see if they're good to go with that. But I liked Big E, and I'm talking more like local people like that aren't under contract and developmental and things, which would happen. And then it was like just craziness, man. But there's a lot of, you just try to focus on all the good. And I was always pumped for catering to go in there and get good food during TV, because you're eating out during the rest of the week. So the catering was made fresh in the arena. They have a professional, they top notch the catering, and they had like the people were so good to me. They would buy me like my Zevia sodas. The catering, like, this is so. If you ever think like people hate me or don't like me, I get along with everyone. Those catering people, just talk to them. I just like nice people. Like they would like, do you want anything? Like, because they knew I would eat different things and very healthy. And I go, and they always had diet sodas. And I remember they would buy me cases of Zevias and hide them in drawers, so I would have fresh ice cold Zevias at TV every week, just out of the kindness of their heart. good people. They'd order different foods. I'd go, hey, can we maybe order this? I think more people would like this. It's healthier, and they would make it and do things. And they were like, that kind of stuff was so cool. Like, and those are the things I miss. Like, there were a lot of really good people that just worked there in the behind the scenes, and so you try to, like, you know what I mean? And any environment can be toxic or negative. So I just tried to control it as much as I could with it. And like live events and all that were really fun. Live event days, and you're driving around. I'd have my own car, stay at my own hotel. You get your 8 hours of sleep most of the time on live event days, and wake up and go get food, go find a nice gym, get a good shower, get some more food, take your time, go to the arena, BS. You do your match, you get to go have a lot of fun. It's not like TV. Then you got a 3 to 5 hour drive at night, which that's why I drank a lot of coffee and all that. And then you get in, you go to bed and repeat and stuff like that. But TV and pay-per-view days used to be a lot more, and everyone too, everyone signed, a lot of the people signed around the same crap shit contracts. Everyone's careers are being affected every day in different ways. Money's being affected every day in different ways. It's a crazy world. A lot of great positive things in it, but it's a crazy world. What's the most you had to drive for an event or live? This is a very good question. There was WWE had me, if you guys remember this, I had to do a show on one of my off days. I think it was Hunter was doing the NXT, and they were running some shows, and it was an NXT Columbus show. And they wanted me versus Big Show on this NXT show. And we did an autograph signing prior. But it was an extra day of work. And I believe they paid me for it, if I'm not mistaken. They bonused me, which was fine. I would have preferred to have had the day off, but it was I don't remember if Hunter asked me, but I ended up doing it. So I had to do that and then go into our like 5-day live event TV schedule on a, so I was home, and then like, I don't even know if I think I just stayed on the road that week. I don't even remember what it was. It was, I had to like, whatever it was, we did the NXT deal, but our flight from Columbus to where the WWE live event was, the flight got canceled and there were no other flights. So I had to drive. If it was either miss the show, or I just told them, I said to the talent, the Kathy who does travel, great woman. I just said, I'll just drive. I can, and I don't know if it was like, it was a long, it had to have been 8 to 10 hours. It was something ridiculous. And I got in and I made it and I did the show. These are things like people don't realize that you do, and talent do, and to be professional, and to, and I think they even gave me, I think they bonused me again for the live event. They gave me more pay than I typically would have gotten for that, for making the effort to get there, or otherwise I would have not been there, so, but there's been some 7-hour drives where they had a flight offered for us, and a lot of the talent would take the flight, and I would just choose to go drive it, because I knew I would like drive, and I would drive half of it and just get a hotel halfway and drive in the morning, and then get breakfast in the gym and do my routine that way, or just go the whole way and get in really late and sleep in a little later and still have time to do all my stuff before that night's show. Cause I'd get there to those live events later anyways. And, but there were some really long drives. Most of the time, when I say 3 to 5 hours, there were a lot, like usually always a few hour drive on those. But there'd be a rare occasion where there would be like an under 2 hour drive every once in a blue moon too. But on average, it's like that you're looking at 3-4 hours most nights on WWE, those tours on nonstop. All right, I appreciate my friend from Saudi Arabia. We're going to shell shock you out of here. I apologize. You can't be spamming the big guy's chat here on the Ryback Show. By the way, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a channel on TikTok. I'm addicted to. Before bed, I watch a few races. They race little rubber balls that look like little pool balls with the numbers and the colors. And it's a lady, I don't know if it's like Japanese or Chinese, or the woman that does it, they're very good. It's very addicting. They get thousands of people that watch their lives on it. And they have this cool little track, and they go around 3 times, and it goes up on this little, escalator deal for the rubber balls that brings them, and it drops it down the track, and they go all the way around. And it is really, really, really fun to watch. I used to race marbles as a kid, though, and it was I used to like in my head. Used to have buckets of marbles, and I would get marbles, and I had a little thing that can hold them where I could release them and race the marbles down the driveway, and like see. And I always was looking for the next big marble, the next fastest marble, and that's what this thing reminds. Such a very simple game. But the lady's very like addicting to listen to. She go, oh yeah, number one, you're a champion. Yeah, ooh, number seven, looking good. Ooh, look at that. The eight ball so fast. Ooh, who's gonna be the champion? That's how she sounds when she's doing. And so she's a big part of why I think watching these, because I pop for how she announces the rubber balls racing around on it. She was, oh, number four, this is your day. Number 4 is your destiny. And I'm like, they're just little rubber balls with pool ball coloring coatings on them. It's just simple things like that give me great joy in life. That lady, I hope they make good money, because that investment was not there. I might start doing that and doing the announcing for the races in her voice, just to add to the TikTok channel, because the track, and you just buy 10 little rubber balls with numbers. But like I'm begging for them to do tournaments. Like they just keep doing all the same 10 balls over and over. They need to host the lives where they crown the ultimate champion every night, and you race every race. The ball that comes in last place is eliminated, and then you could do like 10 races with that, and then have your champion on the live. I'm begging them to do this. It would add so much more drama, instead of they just do the same 10 every time. But I'm gonna have to make my own. Super chat, Tyler Sugaru again. Do you remember that rap that Kurt Angle came up with? I'm just a sexy Kurt. I'll make your ankle hurt. Haha, that was funny. I've seen that many times. That was a very, very good with that. And that segment. Kurt has been part of probably, he's been part of a lot of really, really, really classic, great segments over the years. I love Kurt Angle, man. I just think everything. Kurt Angle, I told you guys during Tough Enough, he was this is how I knew Kurt Angle. This is how you can just see who's like kind of good people in general, and he doesn't come from that pro wrestling. He comes from the amateur wrestling, the Olympic gold medalist. Like he comes from a legit background, from like real sports and real competition in things. And it's a different mindset, people that have that, and there's just different respect with it. And he just I just remember during Tough Enough in the very beginning, we were in the Cleveland locker room, because there's a small little locker room in the men's locker room that I would get changed in sometimes. Kurt was in it. And that's why I would go in there, because I always remember Kurt was in there, and he could fit like a couple people in there. But it was a way to kind of you could be part of the locker room, but have a little more space, and like on that, just when you're sitting and relaxing. And but Kurt, as I was leaving, this was a TV. And I think it was before the segment we did with Kurt Angle, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and look at the dates. It could have been after, but I just remember Kurt just said good night. He just, I have a good night, man. He goes, he goes, hey, I really look forward to hopefully one day being able to maybe work together. He goes, that'd be cool. It was just very nice thing that he didn't have. I was nobody, right? And I always remembered that. Like he was just very nice and respectful. And I always felt like anybody I'd meet just always kept that, because that's just a genuine, real attitude with it. There was no BS. There was no games. He was already made. He had already had success. You know what I mean? And I just think, I go, that's the best way to be in life. You don't have to be fearful of other people or of like competition or people taking a spot or this and that. And I always remember that. And he's been good to me every time I've ever met him. He's like literally just the same, like just whether I was nobody or whether when I made it. And like, I go, that's how you know if somebody's just a solid guy. I think I missed a super chat here. Super chat. Corey Middleton, thank you very much. Hey, big guy, do you have any funny golf stories? I could see you hitting a 300-yard drive and then yelling freaking jacked. I played golf growing up. Me and my sister took golf classes at municipal golf course. I I wouldn't ever say I don't think I've golfed with my dad when I was younger a few times, I think, and but never a full 18. I don't know if maybe we'd only do 9 holes. I can't remember, but I was younger. Um, and I still would go to the driving range with him for a good period. I could drive the ball very far when I was golfing consistently. I would say I had a very, very solid drive. I was nowhere near. I never golfed enough to. I don't even know how I would be. I never played against other people outside of like just practicing and my dad loves golf. My dad golfs. He's retired. He golfs 3 days a week, most weeks. That he's been a golfer his whole adult life. Like that's his thing. I just one thing. I just never. I don't think I had that same love for it, and I never. It was fun when I was younger, but I just stopped doing it because it wasn't something I really cared about with it and whatnot. But it is. I could see why people like it and how it's enjoyable and being out on the greens and then just the air and just the smell of the grass and around other people, right, that you like and whatnot. But I just never I loved like weight training and just that whole this was what I like, and wrestling was what I liked. My dad didn't like pro wrestling, even though he's happy and proud of everything. He wanted me to play real sports as far as like baseball, football, golf, things like that. But I don't know if I have any funny golf stories that I could ever recall happening that would be even worth sharing, that would be remotely funny. I'm just trying. Everything was just. I just remember a lot of practice. Remember we did I think it was a summer course with him. Carlson at Municipal Golf Course. He was the golf pro there, the resident golf pro. Ryback, did you see the jiu-jitsu guy who choked out a dog with a guillotine choke? I did not, and I would hope that I don't know the context of anything what happened with that, but I certainly hope no matter what that the dog is okay. And I don't know if it was out of self-defense or what. Feed me, thank you for the super chat. What was it like feuding with the Shield? It was a lot of fun. All great guys. We wrestled many live events. I remember I've shared this story before. This was like during like the crazy period. I was crazy over like everything was red hot, and the Shield were getting great heat. They were working all the top guys, and we had to do WWE. It was the main event we were doing good business, and everything was sold out and the arenas, and it was the Christmas tour of 2000 and had to have been 12. This was 2012, Christmas 2012. We had to do double duty one night. What it was Detroit and Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. So it was and we had to do Detroit first. So that live event started the events all started the same time, the live event, whatever it was, 7 something. But we did the main event. We were the opening match in Detroit. And you could go back and check this, and this should all check out. It was me, Kane and Daniel Bryan, Team Hell No, versus the Shield. And so we do the opening match. We have to stay in our gear. We all just hurry. We grab our stuff and get our bags. We had to literally rush. They took us to a private airport and flew us from Detroit to Chicago. We literally land and get to the show. They were delaying the show because we were the main event in Chicago, and they didn't think we were going to be there in time. So the last people were like trying to take longer in matches. They were sending people out to do promos. So if you were at that Chicago Christmas show in 2012 and never thought there was some like weird stuff going on, during that live event, it was because they were trying to buy us time to get there. We literally got there and the entrances started. I think they got rushed, they got Shield out, or I don't know if Daniel Bryan and Kane, but like we were all hurried, like tried to warm up a little because we're freezing cold. It was a snowstorm, by the way, too. Plain ice. We all thought we were probably gonna die. Like it was a really shady plane ride on this, by the way, that I'm completely leaving out. But this was like that was probably the coolest and most hectic. The good thing is we had the match. We just had to go and redo the match. And the crowd was so hot that we could take our time in the beginning and get kind of everyone get their bearings amongst them, and then do that, and then go and then drive to the next live event. The craziness of it, but it was just like a machine. You just do it and you go with it. But it was a lot of fun working those guys, man. I've wrestled them all throughout my career at different points, and as babyface and as a heel. And then when they went babyface, and it was fun. It was always fun. There's a mutual respect there. There always will be, and because we always did good business. All right, let me see here. I did see the rumors as well about there was something WWE was possibly interested in bringing in Kenny Omega. That would be very interesting if Kenny Omega did decide at some point in time to jump ship and join WWE. That would, the things. It's crazy from when AEW started until now, and like we say, things change and people come and go, and it's it's a great time though in pro wrestling. I think I love when people leave companies and go to other companies. I love that because it makes it more exciting, and it's going to be a real thing too. Like when you know, I think that's the thing that we haven't really seen outside of Cody, but what would happen if a Wardlow showed up in WWE, and there's just certain things and with people, Kenny Omega would be, what if the Young Bucks and those people are all out of those positions? Now that it looks a little bit different, right? With things, but there's people that step up and new people that come in, and it's I love it. I just think it's great for everybody on all of that, and we'll see what happens. I don't know too much of how long his contract he has left with AEW, but I think it's I love it. I just love all of this. I think it's great when there's competition and wrestlers have choices and opportunities. And I think it makes the companies treat the wrestlers better too, and the fans benefit because usually a more competitive product brings out more creativity as well when it's allowed. Then miss another super sweet sugar sugar. You that check hit the bank account this morning. Sweet sugar is dumping it into the big guy's account. What do you think of? Oh yeah, this is a good one here. I saw this last night. I did catch a good part of Monday Night Raw. What do you think of Omos challenging Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? In the words of Jim Ross, I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. So here's what I now think, Tyler, because WrestleMania, I don't feel like the Brock and Lashley stuff is over. So I don't know why, unless they're going to try to continue that even longer and take a pay-per-view off. But we had Bray Wyatt kind of wanting the winner of that match, right? Which would have been Lashley because Brock got DQ'd, if I'm not mistaken. So that is, I guess, a possibility still to do that. But I was thinking, I go, what if WWE they did just that was like the Vince's Last Request match with all their biggest guys and monsters. So it would be Brock, Omos, and Bray, Bobby, and they put Braun, and I don't know if there's someone else, and they just put their biggest guys, monsters, talent in there in some sort of meat mountain match. Vince's Last Request. But I won't be shocked if they just do Omos Brock. That's a great way to, even though Omos, I think you got to be so careful when you've got a guy that size. They just keep booking him against the big guys, and squashing everybody else and then put him in there with the guy, and then he gets beat by that guy. That's happened now multiple times. So I think this is strictly talking from a character standpoint. It's like it's I would say let's just avoid doing that until we can do it and pay it off for him. But it'll be interesting to see. I think that he's so much larger than Brock, and it's an interesting dynamic and matchup. I see Brock being victorious in that one, and almost kind of continuing that pattern of squashing guys and then losing to the other monsters. When he's the biggest monster of them all, but he's also was at a skill level and starting off where he can continuously, hopefully, keep learning and growing and getting better. It's just that when you have a guy of that size, I always think it's better not to use them until you're ready to use them. But it's still, as long as he's making a lot of money and playing the role to the best of his ability and keeps trying to get better, then hopefully he does have an opportunity at some point in time that is for him. And hey, maybe this is it. Maybe this is Brock is going to take time off after this, and it's a way to put over Omos finally over somebody that could, you never know with it. But I think it's cool, and it's good to see Brock being used in a different capacity too, and with other people that maybe he wouldn't work with a few years back, or because he didn't have to. And now I think too that Brock, and that's a testament to him and the longevity. But he's worked at such a high level with so many guys. I mean, like, it was such a high level and believability that it was like they had to be very careful who they put in there with him on that. And then him being able to, I think, as he's gotten older, become a little bit more relatable to the audience. And his selling is top notch and top tier on that. And he's able to work with more guys. And I think he's willing to work with more guys. And he's smart for that because it makes him more money. And it's I've enjoyed it. So I'll enjoy that to see how they put that together and how they work together. Thank you very much. What were my thoughts on Bam Bam Bigelow? I loved Bam Bam Bigelow as a kid. I named one of my first pets. Our first dog was a black lab named Pebbles, and I was a big wrestling fan already when we got our other dog. He was a black lab pit bull mix, and named him Bam Bam for two reasons. One, because I loved Bam Bam Bigelow and pro wrestling. I always loved that name, and also it was more coincidental. But Pebbles and Bam Bam from the Flintstones, so it was kind of like, oh, this just makes sense. And so that was Pebbles and Bam Bam. But I love Bam Bam Bigelow, the iconic head tattoo with the flames and in the outfit, and he stood out. He was a guy. That's why I knew as a kid I'm very big on colors and putting together colors and things that are very catchy to the eye, because it gets people's attention. That was one of the first things. He just caught my attention, and then he obviously was good, and he kept my attention. And which, by the way, if you guys, my buddy Chris Pavone, one half used to be the Dude Busters with Trent Beretta in WWE. One of my good friends. We were just talking, and there's a way you could change your iPhone to grayscale because the colors in our phones are super addicting, and like the sounds where they keep us on the phones more than we should be because the colors intrigue us, and this happens subconsciously most of the time where we don't even realize it's happening. But there's a way you go into your settings, and I got to go look at. You got to go in there like under the settings, accessibility, text, font. There's a way, but you take off the color, and it's just everything's it's called grayscale, and it's black and white, like essentially on all the apps, all the videos, everything. But you're less. His phone time went down 34% in 1 week, 34% from picking up his phone and checking because the thing, I have to use my phone so much and for videos and for things, and I would have to keep going back and shutting. So I haven't done it yet, but I am tempted to. I want to try it for a week at some point. But all the content and everything, I don't want it in black and white. And I go, that's going to be a pain in the ass going back and forth with it. But I might have to do it for a week just to see if I notice a little difference in the drop outside of what I use for work related, which is a little difficult to assess because anything could be work related in a way because I make content out of so much. Hello. Appreciate all the love and support. What a weird, I had to shell shock little Darren out of here. That was an odd comment. I love wrestling. That's why we're talking about it. I answer the questions on it. He was like, if you don't like wrestling, why are you talking about it? When did I say I don't like wrestling? When have I ever said I don't like wrestling? These are the people I was like, you can never win no matter what you do. And he's just like, I just block and move along with it. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Yeah, Rich says Apple's not a $2 trillion business for no reason. That is intentional. They definitely, sorry, we had a little movement there. They definitely know what they're doing with that stuff, no doubt. From the alerts to the sounds, and it releases, serotonin to different things. And, when certain alerts or we get a message, we perk up, right? And it's like, who I always say too, like, where I go, how do we know they're not putting more and more addicting stuff into the social media, because we know how corrupt everything is. So like, even though they're supposed to have privacy laws, but it's all the elites and everyone are working together anyways, how are we ever going to know, like, if they're like putting little things into that are addicting to keep people on their phones more and this and that? So I was like, that's at least one thing. I go, because I never would have thought of that from the color standpoint, but it is, if you look in your phone and it goes off and it's like you see a bright color, it's instantly, it's doing something to us, right? Eliciting that response, that feeling, that serotonin release, to where we can minimize that in doing that. I think I'm going to check it out. I think it's worthwhile doing. But that's why I keep my phone. I keep everything on silent. I never have it on it. And I got rid of the alerts because I found they were causing me, back when like really busy and like messages going off. It was just constantly something. I was like, I go, this is just stresses me out. I go, just keep it off. And then but then the colors will get you. So now that's the part 2. I was very happy. What are my thoughts on Jinder Mahal becoming champion? I was very happy for Jinder, and I've worked him a lot, and that he had an opportunity to play the role of WWE champion. And I thought he did a great job. Ryback, can you be my therapist? Yeah, my time is I would have to charge a pretty high amount if I was going to do life coaching stuff. That would have to be a very limited list. Corey Madison, thank you very much for Middleton. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to order more Pumplex City soon, but I was wondering if I could still take my old Pumplex City and creatine, even though they are expired. I'm not sure how old of the stuff you are, how far past expiration date that they are. Powders and capsules stay good for a long time. Powders stay good far past expiration too. What can happen is there could be like clumping or so over time. And if they're not, that means they're still doing great. But even with clumping, you can still usually mix it and take it. What can happen though to supplements over time is that just the ingredients, the percentages come down a little bit with that as they deteriorate. They're not as potent as what they were when they were manufactured within that manufacturing 2-year period, right? But they could still be taken most of the time, unless it was like a food product that was like gone bad and rotten. Like but like with supplements like that and the powders, it's not the case usually, unless you was something like, 20 years old and molded, grown up, you know what I mean? And they weren't kept in a good condition. And like, then you're like, they were kept in a moist basement for 20 years. And you're like, oh, what's this? And like, it smells really bad. Like, yeah, don't take that. We say use common sense with it, but you should be just fine taking them if they're expired. Thank you. Thank you. Linus says, thank you very much. Hey, thank you, man. I just wanted to say thank you for the immense life-changing gif you made of eating chips. It always brings me tears. Love you, man. Thank you very much, buddy. You're very welcome. That chips video has made me a bit of money. That chips video it's still gaining popularity, believe it or not. I think it still did. I think it did another like 70 or 80,000 views this past month. Like, and it just keeps, like, it doesn't go away. It just stays. It just keeps going. I'm like, man. And like, that's a video that can end up, that's not even though it has millions of views, it hasn't because everything in the account, like if that account is full free and things are being seen normal, that can go 20, 30, 40, 50 million. It can run. And there's a good chance it's going to run. It run, especially if the moment I go back to wrestling, that thing takes off maybe to 100 million. So that's why I will keep producing content day in, day out, no matter how good or bad anything or particular day, because all this stuff adds up and it continues to add up and it builds on each other. And then back content starts the power of it. I just say it's pulling a slingshot back. And the moment everything is released, it's gonna hit a lot of people really hard. And I'm gonna be smiling all the way to the bank. I think I missed another. Hello, hello. Corey says Corey Middleton, thank you. They are a year past expired. I forgot I had them. I found them the other day. Yeah, I would say just check them out and see if they've been sealed and kept inside. I think you're going to be more than all right with them. But check first if there's any funny taste or anything where you like, you know what I mean? And then you okay, then toss them. But I think you'll be all right. I've taken that's what a lot of supplement places and stores sell supplements far past expiration. They'll just give them to a discount to entice people to buy them to get them off the shelves with it. But that capsules last a really, really long time. Most of the videos you don't expect to do amazing end up doing amazing on YouTube. Yeah, that's the chip video to this day. People leave. I tell you, they go to sleep. My supplement manufacturer, his kids watching the video. He goes, my kids love the chip video of you. Like he goes, they watch it all the time. People just listen to it for the sound. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. Anytime, like I told you guys, there's certain people that will make comments like, you go, bro, you became a meme. I'm just like, okay, and how's that a bad thing in the context of it's just me eating chips and getting millions of views and making thousands upon thousands of dollars for doing that, not even counting my business and that traction and then the marketing, like, you know what I mean? So it's a great thing. Like, it's not bad. I don't care if a kid doesn't know that I wrestled and he just knows me from social media. I'm okay with that. It's the same thing. You're being recognized with it. So it all feeds into each other. And two, becoming a meme. Nobody has any control of being meme. And by the way, you know who are memes? All the most famous, successful people are memes. That's because people recognize them and they make memes of them. Right? So you're a fighter, you're going to have memes knocking people out. You're going to have memes probably getting knocked out. If you're a wrestler, you're going to have memes where you look cool. You're going to have memes where you maybe don't look cool because that's what they just take and they recognize you. That's where you meme. So it's like, people need it's a very good thing. There's not a negative thing with it. But most people recognize that. I've told you guys, I've had people that go, hey, I've seen you on social media. They're like, congratulations. Like people at like Starbucks and different women, like they just think it's cool. Like they don't even know, right? They just see that. I've had kids want to take pictures. Hey, you're that really famous TikTok guy or famous social media guy. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's like, oh, I also do this and known by millions worldwide as this too. It's just more people recognize me. Now, that's a cool thing. That's the point of all of this. Thank you, The Wrath of Ryan. Yeah, that AJ Styles video of the WWE swerved with me and him, I posted on the channel and on social. That was a lot of fun. That was all one take, first one. That was the best one. That kid Miles did an amazing job. Thank you very much, Dennis Avidu, for the super chat. Let me see here. Is that a Nexus? Taking a look here at some questions. The Nexus debut back in June of 2010 sent chills down my spine. I'm guessing Wade Barrett was the brains of the group and you were the muscle. I think that's a fair assessment. I think that was how me and Wade used to meet. And I would say, yeah, I always would joke. Me and him would joke. He was the mental leader of the group. I was the physical leader, which explains that when I got hurt and gone, then the group physically fell apart. The I mean, it was it was a really cool period. That was Wade's. It was Wade's group, I think, because Wade was the one that was. He was the one ready to go. He was the most polished of the characters. I wasn't even Ryback yet, so but it was shades of me. Of me, it was essentially me being Ryback, just with the name Skip Sheffield, and that was me, very young Ryback origin in the beginning days of it. But Wade, that thing was for Wade. I wish he would have had a championship run, and I feel guilty as all hell that I got injured during it. But everything's always happened for good for me with that stuff, and got me out of that name, and got me to being the name that I created. And it was a lot of good came out of it. But I think that the Nexus, the fact that people still want to see it back together, I think speaks volumes to the impact that the group made, and each and every one of us got to be a part of that, and that I think people kind of want to see that wrong righted, right? That's kind of what I get the vibe on why people wanted to come back, is because I don't think people felt good with how it ended with it. And it was one of those things that was so good and had the potential to be so much better. And it all kind of got cut short. And, obviously my injury did not help that in any way, shape, or form. And me not being around to not having any input on anything. And, but it all happened for the way it was supposed to happen. And who's to say that at some point in time, you never know, but it was really cool moment. And I'll forever have very fond memories of that whole period. And two, that was an innocent period, because that was before my views towards WWE changed after the ankle injury and all the screw ups and the backstabbing and all the BS. And that's when my real journey, that's when everything changed in me forever, where I got a chip on my shoulder and had an anger inside of me for the things, and where I was like, I wasn't used to just being just bad, negative, just some bad people, man. Just like it was just a different. It woke me up. I'm like, well, I've got to now. You can't just be nice all the time. You got to know when to drop the hammer, and that started that whole process. Unfortunately, which is also fortunately, because it's allowed me to be who I am and become in life with it. And it was a very expensive lesson and painful lesson with that. But I remember the Nexus days of like being just a young 28-year-old kid and making all the money, and that we all wanted to make doing it, and just like getting to do what we loved, and traveling. Everything was fun. Like everything, it was an experience. I remember just going to places for the first time that I'd never been and only had heard about. And, it was like everything was like being to Hawaii before the ankle injury. And I was like, I'm in Hawaii. Like, and it was like just such a cool, at the beach, and then get a workout in, and you're going to the show, and we're like, this is surreal from the life that we knew in the years of training and getting killed and putting tested time and time again. How bad do you want this? And not making money, and into like, but doing what you loved and believed in. And so it was a more enjoyable period, and you're doing it with all the guys that you weren't up there on your own. And it was Nexus. It was a very, really special thing, man. And, I have like I said, I'll just forever have great memories of it. Sweet Sugar coming in hot again. Ryback, you cost me the WWE title in 2K19. You are a custom character in my game, and I usually put you on my team, but I switched it up for once. You turned your back on me, Tyler. That's what you get. You turned your back on the big guy. You got shell shocked. Tyler, I can't believe that. You turned your back. That's how it starts, Tyler. That's how it starts. You listen to the show, you contribute. You're the number one contributor of the Ryback show, but I wonder what it'd like just to beat up Ryback. Well, I'm gonna get him. It starts in the video game. That's how the violence always starts. hey, I'm just going to shoot this one person in the head in this video game. And then, you know, it's a little concerning, Tyler. It's a little concerning. I'm not going to lie, but I'm glad that even in video game form, though, I delivered the justice that was deserved. Stay true to myself. I didn't let you get the better of me. Sweet sugar, guys. You never know. I'm a little disappointed, Tyler. I would prefer, we always team up, but no, you wanted to test yourself against a custom character at that, not even the legitimate video game made character with the real attributes. But hey, who am I? Let me see here. Somebody says, I wondered between you and AJ Styles what your next prank move you're going to do on Swerve to a next kid, whoever going to be on the WWE Swerve show. That was filmed in 2015, I think. So that show doesn't exist anymore. We did like 5 or 6 takes of different pranks, I think, that day. We didn't even want to because we all knew that first take was the number one. We knew that was it because Miles, that was all real. Like none of that was scripted on his end. Like we weren't going to get a better kid that reacted the exact way that you needed to react, and we were able to play off of, and we didn't have to force anything. It just was he was a beautiful one hit wonder on that, and the other takes weren't they were good, but nothing was as good as that. And we all knew. We even said like, why are we even going to film? And like, well, they want to just be safe, and they had other people there ready to go, so we had to go through with like couple hours worth of takes of doing this stuff with different people and different things. So nothing was quite the same after that with that, but that was, man, such a fun time. Thank you very much, Sneaky, for saying thank you for my YouTube shorts. Yeah, for those of you guys, check out those YouTube shorts. I try to keep that, it's the entertainment aspect and the funny and the haha, the things that make me laugh, that help me. That I'm a big believer that when we laugh and just share, just things that make us laugh, and that it puts us in a feel good mood, and that feel good mood is what carries over to other areas in the life, and that's what's helped me honestly heal so much all throughout my life at different points. And I'm very serious when I have to be serious, but like I love to laugh, and nothing's ever done out of like trying to like harassment or bullying or trying to make people feel bad, and it's done out of just a pure joy of laughing. And like if you ever know, I make fun of myself as much, because I can laugh, and I like to have fun. And if something's funny, it's funny, and I don't worry about like what anyone's going to think or say, because I just know how powerful that feeling good is, and how that a lot of people don't feel good. And I know how many people message and say, man, thank you, you make our day with it. Like it just always can count on a laugh coming onto this page, and it's a cool thing. And so I try to share that on the YouTube shorts now. Yeah, I'll put a few promotional things in for the supplements in there, and there's motivational stuff in there too, and keep true to my personality. But it's a great place to put the funny stuff, like on my Twitter and TikTok, and or my TikTok and Instagram, and now YouTube Shorts. So, and we're growing. We're getting more and more views. We're approaching back up to 1 million views, close to it here for the month, and hopefully the goal is to get this into the millions and get everything rocking and rolling. I don't know why YouTube. When I first started doing shorts, they were letting some of them go into the hundreds of thousands, and then they stopped them. And then I was getting very few views on them, and they've some of them have trickled up, but not nowhere near for the subscribers. And what it is, nothing is going like viral. And I'm hoping we can get this fixed, because if that's the case, we're going to have some really cool things happening. Because they pay for those bad boys now too. I get paid for that stuff now, where I didn't used to get paid for. I get paid for it with it, and it greatly helps. So I appreciate when you guys view that stuff. It helps the cause. Dennis Avidu, thank you again for the super chat. Can you give a shout out to my friend Andy Fedahi? Andy Fedahi, the big guy Ryback, says hello. I hope everything's going well, buddy. Your buddy Dennis, good buddy there, Dennis, that you are. Very kind of you to do that. But I hope everything is well with you, Andy. Thank you, Jay Tony, saying the content makes my day when I'm in a bad mood. Thank you, Ryback. You're very welcome, buddy. Matt says, yeah, the shorts are hilarious. Your facial expressions are great. I pride myself in trying to, like, I practice this stuff. Like, I love, like, entertainment like that. That's what some people too, they go, why don't you, go do this or do that? And like, I'm a business owner and I'm trying to get my health back so I can go back to doing what I actually love with everything that I've built and I'm doing now. Right. With it. But I get to do it now. Was before TikTok suspended the account, like I get paid for this stuff. Now I'm getting paid for it on multiple platforms. And I go, like, this is why this stuff is important to being seen, because I go, you don't have to be like, some people go, why don't you be an actor or go be a comedian? I go, I get to do that for myself now and like enjoy life and don't have to, like, I work for myself. I go, that doesn't mean sometimes I'm always baffled how people view things. They don't think, like, they think you have to go work for other people to be successful or do things. I go, maybe that used to be the way how things, but I go, that we are far past that age now, far past it on this. This is more powerful than TV. This is why Gary Vaynerchuk woke my ass up on this. And that's why I look at everybody in WWE and AEW. I go, and I think some of them might, but I go, even then, you don't really. I had to rely on this to be seen. And this is why I'm fighting for this shadow ban and all this stuff and the restrictions that they put on it, because it's fighting to keep my livelihood and to be seen. And it's more important than TV with it. But you don't realize that when you're there with that. Like, this stuff creates bigger stars than TV can. Now it's great to do both. TV can still create megastars, and right, but it plays hand in hand, and it's all the future is this. Not the TV's kind of on, even though TV is really popular in different things. I don't think it's ever going away. But like this is very popular and has replaced a lot of people's attention on this more so than the television, right? It's so much more easier too to be recognized. A video goes viral and you're being seen over, and there's all this different content and all this different things. And the television station is our personal. That's my page is my own station, my own channel on that. But you can be seen by people that wouldn't normally, that will be recommended your content. The likelihood of being seen and discovered by people on social media is so much more powerful than just TV, where you're limited to just one station, right? Because that one station doesn't just you don't get shown on all the other stations. But social media, when you go viral and things, you're being shown on people's channels. They make videos, respawning videos. Like, it's a very powerful trickle effect on that. Jay Bomber, I missed a super chat. Let me scroll up and see if I see it here. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. They don't always put them on the screen, unfortunately. Let me see. Corey, Linus. Man, it's way up here, huh? Scrolling. New Limp Bizkit song. Scrolling. Keep scrolling. Dude, where's this super chat? Another one from Corey. That was the Brock Omos one. Feed Me, Corey, Tyler. Maybe it was about before Tyler. I apologize. We're going to keep going. Feed Me. Winter. Was it before that? Bill Wild. Real Talk. Oh, hey, Bill. Thank you. Real Talk, big guy. How do you stop watching porn when your old lady gives you no pie and you're trying to be a good man? I work out and have hobbies. How do you stop? Well, you got to get away from it. It's really easy to get addicted to that stuff, and obviously too, like social media, and it could be literally in your face 24/7. It's you got to be really careful, and I think it's just a matter of getting away from it and using your mind and trying to just stay away from that extra stimulation, and then hopefully the old lady comes around. But I feel for you. That's a horrible spot to be in, no doubt. which a lot of people, there's people that go, we're living in times now, we're going to have people that are born and die virgins. By the way, I really could they're going to be, I think we're living in a period where there's probably going to be more people, more men, and I would say women too, that don't actually have sex and die, but only in using toys and porn. It's just a crazy, crazy period, and it's crazy to even think about. But I just think I think the more you can just stay away from that stuff and just use our brain in real life, and it will be superior to anything. But a lot of people don't live in the real world, and they're living in a fantasy world, and they're afraid of the real world, and um you know. But Bill, I would say you got to just cut it out. You got to stop. You got to literally stop and be motivated to stop. And like I said, you just use your mind, and it might be really difficult. It might take you quite a while, but I think, or you got to get her to come around, and you know, I would say maybe what's her love language, Bill? You got to find out, read the love languages, and then start doing things that she will appreciate, and maybe she'll come around. Let me see if I think, was there one more super chat? Yep, I got it, Jay Bomber. Sorry for the long wait on that. You were one of the first ones. Jay Bomber Gaming 123. Much love from India. Can you shout out Jay Bomber? Jay Bomber, you're getting shout out right now, my man. I thank you for the patience of waiting. I'm sorry I missed that super chat. Jay Bomber Gaming 123, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to follow them. I don't know what kind of content they produce, so I can't vouch for the content, but I can vouch for that sweet super chat. Jay Tony, I love to hear a good success story. When I was born, I was given 3 months to live, but I'm going to be 29 in October, and I'm still alive and well. I'm very happy to hear that, Jay Tony, and that is just, it's, people tell us things, and it's up to us what's the mindset, even though you were a baby, and right, but like, we can, oftentimes in life, people will say or give their opinion or their expert opinion, or people that don't have non-expert opinions, and they're completely wrong. And I love to see it. Scotland in the house. Thank you very much, Scotland. There's always a gym I worked out at when I was in Scotland that I always loved. It was a longer shuttle ride. We had it was further away from the we're gonna throw a shell shock in there. Hold on. Meat hook shell shock. I'm gonna pick you up and hit you with a double shell shock because that was really annoying spam. There's also another annoying spam. Another shell shock. That one I'm gonna pick you up, shell shock, pick you up, shell shock, throw you out of the ring, take off the padding on the outside, pick you up, shell shock on the concrete, roll you in the ring 1, 2, 3. You are out of Rybackville. Thank you for playing. Sorry, guys. We had a couple foreign shell shocks we had to deliver, international shell shocks we had to deliver there. No one wants to have a committed relationship anymore, at least in America. Again, it's broad things. I think there's plenty of people that want to have a specific type of relationship, a committed relationship. And I think there's other people that people are realizing that there's no one right way or wrong way to do things. I think people have woken up to the lies that we have been told and led to believe were the only way, and this and that. Now, are there benefits to doing things certain ways? Absolutely. Does that mean that it's beneficial for every single person to conduct their lives that way? Absolutely not with it. So it's I just think but I think it's more than anything, it shows that humans, I think, now have for the first time, or since, in at least we could see throughout history, people are able to think for themselves and make decisions based off what they truly believe and feel. And maybe it says more than anything that humans are a lot more diverse and complex in their thoughts and ideas and what they want than what we previously we're led to believe or taught, right, with it. So I just think it's and there's no right or wrong way to do things. It's do things how you truly feel and believe and live your life to the best of your ability. And there's not a one size fits all necessarily deal. There's not. It's all we live in a world of made up rules. It's all literally made up. And I think there's rules that are good. Don't kill or hurt other people. Like otherwise there's repercussions on that. You know what I mean? Like that's a rule that benefits all of us. And that if we don't have that rule and that you could just go and do that with no, no risk, no threat to being put in jail or anything, that would happen way more, right? Life would be a lot would be crazy. All out chaos. So like certain rules are good to have in place for our society and civilization, but there's other things that were put in place, and you're like, wait a second, that kind of hey, and it's not threatening in that way, but we live in much different period than we lived, but every generation's lived in a pretty much different period. Things are just advancing now at a really rapid rate, where I think it was much slower prior, where it wasn't as drastic. That I would agree on. John says, where do I get some of your merchandise? Feedmemore.com, John. We have everything on there. We have all the supplements, Feed Me More Nutrition, and the whole merch store. And there's different tabs for all of that on the home screen there on feedmemore.com. Thank you very much. We've got everything on there: tank tops, shirts, sweaters, hoodies, beanies, workout accessories, the whole shebang. What do you think is the best side hustle alongside a full-time job? Whatever that is something that you are enjoy and passionate about. Whatever I think that's going to be different from person to person. So whatever your full-time job is and the thing that allows you to pay your bills, the best side hustle is something that you enjoy, that you think it could be profitable over time. But something at the end of the day, you want to enjoy doing it. You want to have fun. Like, and even you just want to pick something you enjoy more than something else. It doesn't even have to be a passion, but you want to pick something you're more prone to likely do regardless of the money, right? I don't know if I'll be doing any European appearances here, but anything with the bookings and all that, I need to put that in on the font on here to book for events, signings, and appearances with all that. The big guy at feedmemore.com, but we'll get that all set up. I've been very good, thank you very much. Feel absolutely amazing and great health, and looking forward to a really cool year. What's going on? Good to see all of you guys. Sweet sugar sugaroo, shell shock for everyone. Good to see all of you. What's the best and worst time of your career? I think the best is not happened yet, and I don't know what the worst was. There was multiple things that, and whatever things happen, and you just move on from. But I don't know if you could just pinpoint that. Oh, Jay Tony. Okay, yeah, I know. I remember you, Jose Lopez. Good to see you on here. Scrolling through the comments here. If I had a supplement line, you'd have some competition. Thank you. Did I have a favorite place to eat on the road? I routinely in my diet, this was before I was plant-based, more vegan, vegetarian. I was eating a lot of meat and chicken, so it was usually Applebee's at night when I could. I'd like to sit down and get because I could only eat, and you have to eat a lot of fast food usually on the road, way more than you would when you're home. And when I say like by fast food, like it'd be like so many times wherever you're going, and you got to get on the freeway, and you're going to be on a thing, and you start learning what routes have more options, and then there's other ones that don't have a lot of options where there might only be some gas stations for the 3-4 hours, and then you got to just try to find stuff at the gas station. Which gas station you don't want to be eating gas station food, and I have, and I told that story of getting violently sick, which is why I try to avoid it by any means necessary. But don't buy egg salad gas station sandwiches on the road. Not a good idea. Oh, that was so bad. I had horrible food poisoning. That was a rough couple days. So, but you would have to get like you go to the fast food places and you'd order like and this is for someone like me that's eating super high protein and eating all this food throughout the day and very active. And I would get burger patties and chicken patties. And then I would like try to get like if I wanted some carbs, I might get like a bag of like something sun chips or something at the gas station, or a thing of nuts, or a bag of like a small bag of trail mix or a medium bag of trail mix. And then I had my coffee and a bunch of waters or the vitamin water zeros, those things, or I'd have some Zevias in the car I'd take from TV, like from one TV to the other. But Applebee's was always something I ate at a lot. Like when I would get up and I'd go eat like an early lunch, and that would be I'd take my time. I'd get up, I'd just go and sit in Applebee's and just enjoy, take my time, eat a nice big meal. I usually get like a big salad, and I'd get something, whether it was steak at the time and vegetables and like potatoes or some sort of like carb or a cleaner carb with that, and eat like and try to just like or get grilled chicken breast, and I might get like a small thing of wings here and there, and then like a French onion soup here and there, but like just take my time, have a big meal. I already find my gym. I take my time, kind of catch up things from the day prior, the week, anything going on at home. Make a phone call or two, and then let the food digest a little, and then hit the road and find a gym and get a big workout in and warm up and kind of start getting ready for the show that was going to happen that night. I'm missing another place I ate at all the time. And I don't know why I can't. Applebee's was a lot, which is why I remember it right away. But too, like IHOPs and Denny's were things that were depending on the area. Waffle House from time to time, you could always count on to get eggs and egg whites and different things, or a big omelet and some wheat toast or something. Outback Steakhouse was another one I would eat at when I'd find an Outback that was open. I would go to Outback. Um, Hooters at the time. Me and Zigman used to do Hooters quite a bit after like a SmackDown. We'd have some beers and some wings to kind of wind down for the week. Because I would have a drinking day. If we didn't do a Hooters, I would do my drinking day when I got home. I would have drinks on Wednesday night, and that was back then. Or if me and Zigman went hit up a Hooters, we'd have wings and some cold ones, some big Coors Lights usually, or something along the lines of that, and that would be my alcohol for the week with that. Those are kind of the consistent sit down restaurants, and then once in a blue moon, a Cheesecake Factory was always a nice treat when I could find a good Cheesecake Factory that was open. But usually you're going through, and it's like, when we're going through Texas, I would eat Whataburger like 2-3 times a day in Texas. I would get their like double cheeseburger on a wheat bun with jalapenos, and I would eat like 2 of those, and I would eat 2 of those 3 times a day sometimes. On top of and I'm working out, doing all my burpees, wrestling, long matches throughout the week. We're doing live events. You're usually going 12, 15, 20 minutes, depending on given night on what you're doing in the card, sometimes longer than that, but consistently around in that area. So you're exerting yourself physically all throughout the day. And it was, my metabolism was just cranked because you're constantly just burning calories. I would do 100, 150 burpees most days, a lot of days, keep my win just top notch on some of that. And so it's just like on top of all the training. And so you can get away eating that a little more because you're so active with it. But it was, you don't want to be eating like now knowing too the quality and now being plant-based, you don't want to be eating that stuff that often. It's just not good. So I'm glad, and I would have to adjust if I, ever go back to a degree and being on the road. But I wouldn't, like I've said, I know how so much. I know so many other foods now that I know I have a system of things I could get that would get really high protein and stay primarily plant based on the road. Would not be very difficult. Much easier now than it ever would have been. Let me see here. I think I missed a super chat. Cracker Barrel. I love myself some Cracker Barrel. Al Snow. The first time I ever heard about Cracker Barrel, which we now have them in Vegas. At the time when I was younger, we didn't have them, and I used to read about them online. And I always was like, man, that Cracker Barrel sounds really that Cracker Barrel sure sounds tasty. And Al Snow, the first time he mentioned taking us to Cracker Barrel, all the talent, I like got excited. I go, Cracker Barrel. And I go, I've read about that place. And like, because I was online, I'd seen just stuff online, and I'd see like things for this Cracker Barrel. And I go, man, and I saw like the food, and we didn't have that in Vegas. So Al always made fun of me that I was so excited over Cracker Barrel. And even in the Tough Enough video, he goes, the man was excited over Cracker Barrel. Legitimately just thought it was, because it was like, I'm a kid reading about stuff. And then you finally are like, it's just like, I'm very easily pleased. I think it's the best way to be. Like, it was like, oh, I get to actually try this place now that I'd only read about. Super chat Bill Wild. Every time I go to watch AEW with my son, someone is busted open and gushing. Do you think all the blood is affecting their business? So I haven't seen, because I don't watch the whole shows. I'll watch like maybe an hour or an hour and change, or a match here and match there. And I don't watch, and even with WWE, it's very hard. Like, I don't have 3 hours to watch the whole thing, or 2 hours on Friday. It's pieces. So I haven't seen all of everyone getting busted open. But I think at the end of the day, you got like that stuff. It's physical acting, and it has a time and place, at the right time, at the right place. It's not something you want to have to do all the time. And it's very risky thing to do too, doing that. There's a lot of health repercussions with that, safety precautions, and you're out in that ring. And I've had, the infections and the bacteria out there, and where I had my knee blew up because I had a little cut on my hand, and something got into my body from the mat, most likely. And I banged my knee, and that it wasn't staph. It was, or was it staph, or was it the MR? Whatever it wasn't the worst one, but it was bad. And they didn't know if they were going to have to operate on me. And I was Intercontinental Champion, and luckily it just went down like the last day that I had before we had to make the decision to strip the title off me, or if I have to have surgery or whatever. And my knee it was a miracle, was better. And I was able to go back to TV that following week and resume the program with Big Show and them. But that stuff is no joke with that. But I just think at the end of the day, you gotta, hopefully you want the ratings to be going up, and you have to look at things and assess things, and you have to say, well, what else can we do? How can we reach more people? That has to be the goal of a television company. It has to be. It should be a goal of any company, any business, any brand, is you want to reach as many eyeballs and keep as many eyeballs as possible on the product. People can whine and complain all day long about what they don't like, and because that's what they're going to do. But if the numbers are there and everybody doing good business, it doesn't matter with it. So, I don't know if it's being done too much. I haven't seen it a lot. I just remember that was it Cody and Dustin? Or Dustin and somebody else were just bleeding like crazy. I think it was the Cody Dustin match years ago, right? But I know it's been done. I know it has been done more frequently. I just haven't seen all of them. But I don't know how much that helps or hurts. Or I think it could help a program when it's done right. Brett Austin, perfect example. When people, I remember the Cody Dustin, if that was the one where I remember it being it added to the story, but it's not something you want to be doing all the time. But again, hey, people have different opinions on this. Some people think that's what they love doing it. I just don't particularly get it. But I think it's great if it really happened in a match and something accidentally happened. And I think it's amazing if that's something. It's like you hit your head accidentally and you get cut open, and it's like whole because it's so much more organic and natural. With that. So I'm not against it like happening. I just think it's you do got to pick your spots on it though. Wrestling's a weird thing too because it's physical acting, and there has to be. Al Snow is really good at doing this. There has to be a format. There has to be a fellow. You've got to be able to work your place on the card with the tools that you're being allowed, and there has to be like a kind of respect on building a show and building a thing based on where you're being used and the role that you're playing. It's like a movie. It'd be no different. So if people didn't have kind of designed roles in movies, then anybody could just be doing anything in a movie and it would be all out chaos. It's the same thing in wrestling. When you guys don't respect the levels of where you're being booked on the card and start going out and doing other things, then it's all out chaos. There's the movie is unhinged and it doesn't work with it. So that's why there needs to be a sense of control. There needs to be authoritative figures and things that this is the way you've got to understand the role that you're playing, and in that you want to build a card up until the main event, and you want to have those guys be able to do things that are going to get a great reaction late in the night. But if everyone's just out there burning each other and doing this, then there's chaos, and it all goes out the window with it, and it takes away from a scripted television show. That's why pro wrestling is so much more similar to acting than anyone will ever realize, in the format and the structure that you do need in a way, as whether it's being given or there's that respect that stays in line based off the role that you're playing. And it's good when it's a combination of both. But I can only give you my thoughts on what I think and what I've been taught and what I see and feel like I understand. But other people might have a differing opinion than that. Thank you for saying I'm a sweetheart. I'm a mean, mean man. You don't want to piss me off, but I am also a sweetheart. Thank you. I think it's the best way to be. I think that's called just being real. Just the emotions can go any direction, and you try to keep it centered as much as possible. But I'm a big fan of selling. And I believe there's levels to selling, and I just don't think it should be disrespected. And that's one thing I think if selling is done correctly, pro wrestling it is a beautiful thing. I'll tell you, I just saw, and I'll say I saw yesterday with Asuka, with the other girl. She was it Nikki Cross? She was wrestling on Raw. Asuka probably threw like a 20-hit combo that. Like, I'm not even kidding. Go back and watch. And I don't even know. It was a very high number. Maybe it wasn't 20 exactly, but it was a very high number of strikes. And if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. She just kept hitting her and hitting her and hitting her. And then finally, after like number 20 or 25 or whatever it was, or 18, she bumps. And then they do something and they keep going on. And I'm like, all that I get when I see that is like, your strikes are not that lethal. That if you do something one time really good and they go down, then you could do other things. You don't have to. I get it. There's a time and place. You have to turn it up and crank it up, and there's gear changes. But even then, you still want to pick and choose the things that you're doing. Like and that's why, you remember when I was mounting guys, when I went to my trunks, I did that. I think I wrestled Axel, Bo Dallas, and Adam Rose. And they had me, I was doing the grounded pound and just boom, boom, boom. And I thought it looked it was aggressive and intense, and it looked really, really believable, but we were doing it as the going into the finish, and guys weren't getting back up. It was either that calling the match or picking them up and shell shocking them right after. And where I wanted that to be was the direction with everything, and a gear change going that, but not doing that in the beginning of a match or the middle of a match, and then picking the person up and running and doing a bunch of other stuff, because then all that, if I really punch somebody like that and they're just back up and doing stuff, my ground and pound absolutely sucks ass, right? And that's the stuff you have to think about when you do stuff and when you put things in. Like, that's why guys, I get too, when guys do, and they do their finish 3 times, this is something that bothered me, and I love the Usos, but they come in and they have great super kicks. It's a finish. and it's been a finish for them. But they come in with Sammy, and he hits him with 3 super kicks and then his splash with a double finish, and he still kicks out. I understand it shows heart, but my thing is, what other moves can you do where you could show that you're turning up the intensity on him, and it's going to be believable? Okay, you want to get that splash in there, but maybe not do your other finish, your super kicks in there with it, unless you're going to do one with it. You don't need, if you do one and it's one and it's the passion and intensity and you're staring at him and it looks like $1,000,000, it makes such a big difference compared to boom, 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 boom. Imagine I come back and I got to start hitting 5, 6 shell shocks just to get a pin to cover. I didn't do something right. And if I'm not creative enough to come up with enough moves, which I felt like that was never an issue with me, but like if you're not creative enough to come up with different moves to do and stuff, like, man, you got to protect your finish, but people don't. That's why I'm like, hey, keep doing what you're going to do. I just know my business and what I can do. I'll protect that thing to the very, very end, and then we'll get something out of it. It's just a mindset thing. Taker had that mindset with his finish, and look what happened. And I think the reason too, and he kicked out with Sean and did the near falls, and they probably thought he didn't have much longer left, and he ended up being able to wrestle far past that. And so it became, guys kicked out of it a little more, whereas I think it was being done at the very, what he thought was the end, maybe the end more full time, right? But it's you want to protect your finish, and you could always do. There's so many other things you could do, but I'm big on protecting certain things as much as possible. It is what we make it. I've been on Twitch. We do Twitch every week, my man. Every show has been broadcast on Twitch for the most part. So if they're not showing it, like I've said, I don't even check anymore. I know at that channel, after WWE partnered with them, I noticed that nothing got any traction at all. So I don't even, again, it's not even, it is what it is. Tim, Tim says if Roman doesn't drop the titles, he goes, if Roman don't drop the titles to Cody, I'm done with WWE. I'm 100% only only seeing the titles on the line 5 times a year. Tim, I promise you're going to keep watching. I do not believe for a second, Tim, that if Roman wins at WrestleMania, I would bet my life savings on it, Tim, that if Roman, you might go a week. Hell, you might even, Tim, you might get yourself to 2 weeks. Maybe you pull a wild hair out of your ass and you're able to get a month. But I assure you, Tim, you're going to go right back to watching at some point in time, if not right away. I promise. So I would say if that's something you don't enjoy, only watching the titles be put on the line 5 times a year, which is still a lot, compare that to like titles in the other organizations are fighting where they fight maybe 1 or 2 times a year, I would say shift your focus to the other things that you enjoy on the show and talk about the things that you like more than don't like. It's a reflection of the mindset. I'm sure there's stuff that you see that you like. What's wrong with talking about the stuff that we like? Man, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed that. But that's a reflection of people's mindset. So many people are so negative and don't even realize it. They completely disregard the things that they enjoy, and they just want to talk about the little thing that they hated or they didn't like a little. And then I go, you're just taking that's what being in a negative frame of mind more often than not is, that you don't even realize it. So when you see it, like, hey, nope, let's talk about what I liked. You got to become aware of it and catch yourself and shift a negative into a positive. Sweet Sugar says, completely agree. What's the point of having a finisher if it takes 3 or 4 of them to actually finish the match? You're totally right, big guy. Thank you. It's just common sense. We call it a finishing move for a reason. It is the move that finishes people, not a move that we want people to be kicking out of more than any other move. What other move do we do to guys 3 or 4 times and to try to beat them and they keep? Imagine like if I hit a guy with a body slam, do I pick him up and have to try to do that 4 or 5 times to get a finish on him? It's just, but we're going to do it to our finisher. That to me that's a reflection of not people that it's not good. I know I never watched anime growing up. I don't think I've ever watched anime outside of a little clip. Yeah. Robert says Roman is a draw. A few weeks ago, they gained like 600,000 for just a segment with him and Sammy. I'm cool with him retaining at Mania, but I'd feel it would kill Cody. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the direction is, and um, we'll see the build up to it, and who knows, man. Nothing unless I don't know what kind of deal Cody got and what creative input, if any, if certain things, if there were anything agreed upon for championship runs or anything like that. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see with it, and we'll just have to wait and see. But I would like for Cody. I hope he continues to. I hope the crowd's really behind him, and I will be very happy and proud of him if he gets his moment at WrestleMania, which he's getting his moment regardless of. That is to be a WrestleMania main event is that's a big accomplishment. It's a huge accomplishment on its own, but to see if it pays off, and he's chosen to go out there and to be victorious, and it's going to be a hell of a moment. And two, and when you look at it like that, if that is the final creative on it, right, it makes a little more sense too. I try to explain things too from the wrestling standpoint, so you guys can view things and kind of when you see things that maybe you don't like, you can maybe kind of catch yourself and try to view things and ask yourself different questions, and to where it maybe can help you shift out of being as upset. Like, is there a good reason? Like a lot of people that are upset Sammy didn't get the big victory in his hometown of Montreal over Roman is because that moment is already in the script for Cody, and they don't want to do that 4 or 5 weeks prior. And you know what I mean? Because now it's being done. You can't, that moment, it's not the same. You're taking it, what was the design plan, and putting it, so plans would have to completely change on that. And oftentimes with their main event storylines and things, if something's being done, that's the big picture of the direction they're going. There's always a possibility of an emergency. It's something, an injury, where plans have to change. But, that could be a big reason, they can't spoil that and do that there, because then it takes away from the final chapter of the other story. So these are things that kind of factor in when you're watching wrestling with guys and storylines and things. And this is why, and I tell you too, with me, it's just you go back and and I look at this, and I always looked at it with physical acting and as a professional, and it helped me do my job to the best of my ability. Cena goes down with the injury and they need a main event for Punk. They take me, which I'm in a much better spot than I was not being in the main event with it, right? But unfortunately, it was a horrible spot to put a guy with an undefeated streak that was red hot, and things were just getting hotter and hotter. But everything happens for a reason. But the plan wasn't let's put Ryback in the main event now. The plan was let's keep building Ryback into the main event. No doubt would have been the plan, but it was he's killing it. We can run with it now, like that. But it wasn't for me. But it's hard to understand that for people that are behind it, that believe in it, because everything was so good. But the grand plan was for Punk and Rock once again to lead into Punk Cena 2, which was a program that was years in the making, right? So unfortunately, even though I get put into the main event for a good portion of time with it, but it was playing a role that was never for me, or it's supposed to be for me, with their bigger story in place. That's why it's physical acting. And there were other things and reasons and things I talked about, and that all played into this and things, because we could have very easily kept it going and paid it off right after with the Cena stuff, which was all that wasn't going to happen with the legal stuff that was going on and that friction that had been whatever, right? So, but it's a way to look at it and see the bigger picture that they've spent years on with that. And I was getting plugged into Cena's role. He was supposed to be Cena Punk. He got injured, so they needed a period for main event with Cena gone for a couple months and whatnot. And then it ended up being it just was so good very popular, doing good numbers, keep it going, but it was still not for me. So it's like, how can we make something make sense? It's not supposed to make sense. But it gives you, and I lived it. So that's why I'm able to confidently, there's always something, a bigger picture, something going on. And unfortunately, on their big picture of stuff, they're less likely to change that compared to something going on at another story point. That's not their bread and butter on it. Hello, hello, hello. With that, guys, though, we're approaching 2 hours for today's show. We went long today on the Ryback Show. And so I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you to everyone on TikTok that joined into the live. Always greatly appreciated on that, all the love and support. Please check out my Feed Me More Nutrition over on feedmemore.com. All the discounts in there are on the description and the comments here on Ryback TV. Please hit those, turn those notifications on and stay subscribed. Or if you want to share the channel, share the show. Hopefully, let's keep moving up the podcast ranks. Maybe we bump this back up into a top 10 show again, even with all the shadow banning. And you never know with everything. So with that, guys, let's have a great day. And until next time, my friends, stay hungry. Feed me more.
Feed me more.